Hey guys, I'm Chris and welcome to Tele-Talk, and today I'm going to be talking about Gotham. Now, Gotham, if you don't know, is Fox's new TV show based in Gotham, as you might have guessed, which is famously known for being the home of Batman. Gotham has been brought to both the big and the small screens many times before, most recently in the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, the majority of the time these stories will follow Batman as the protagonist. However, Gotham has decided to take a slightly different approach, with James Gordon, who if you don't know is the detective that helps Batman in the comics, taking the spotlight. Now, when I first heard of the show, I was excited to see a TV series based in the Batman world, but without Batman. It was refreshing to see someone else taking up the mantle to protect Gotham rather than him. And the inclusion of the chance to see many of the iconic Batman characters before they became who they're famous for being, and to see how they became that person is really interesting as well. On top of this, it allows for someone like myself who hasn't really read many of the Batman comics and doesn't know a lot about the universe and the characters within to gain an appreciation for them. However, I think that they may have been focusing too much on making the show easy for people who haven't read the comics to understand, and it almost felt like they were spoon feeding you the characters' identities. There was no need for anyone watching to try and work out who certain characters may or may not become, as we're practically handed the answers. One of the main examples of this would have to be the Riddler. Now, Edward Nygma doesn't seem able to talk to anyone without trying to make them guess what he means. Now, I know the Riddler's practically supposed to speak in riddles, but it would have been far more interesting, in my opinion, if we saw this as maybe start as a hobby rather than an obsession, and then over time grow to become the obsession. This would have allowed the viewers to try and work it out for themselves, and would have allowed those who've read the comics to feel a bit more rewarded for doing so, as it would allow them to pick out things that maybe those who hadn't read the comics couldn't pick out. Now, I have nothing against the show being focused more towards those who have read the comics than those who haven't, provided the skills don't tip too much in the other direction, resulting in the show being focused too much on appealing to those who have read the comics. And as a result, those who haven't read the comics can't enjoy it and can't understand what's going on. There's a sweet spot between these two extremities that I feel is what the show should have been aiming for, but sadly isn't quite there yet. Now, my initial impressions of the show were that the tone was meant to be quite serious, as it dealt with some very serious issues and focused very closely on the criminal underworld of Gotham and the influence that the big criminal families such as the Falcones and the Maronis have, not just over the legal system in the GCPD, but seemingly every aspect of Gotham all the way up to the mayor's office. However, there were some episodes where it felt like they were trying to take a much more comical approach, and it didn't quite work. Now, personally, I don't think this had anything to do with the acting, as in my opinion, the acting is very strong all round. I just don't feel that the writing is quite up to scratch yet. Now, that's not to say that the writing is bad, but I don't think it quite reaches the level that the show deserves, which is a shame because the premise for the show is incredibly promising and there was a lot of hype about it. So all in all, I do really like Gotham, and I'm looking forward to see where the plot goes. But it's by no means the best show on TV at the moment, and I do think that it was slightly overhyped and hasn't quite lived up to the expectations, though I am enjoying it and I do look forward to seeing where it goes in the future. But that's just my personal opinion on Gotham. Thanks for listening, I'm Chris, and I'll see you next time.